Okay. Everyone's over.
Okay, we're all set then. What we're going to do is just start because it is 7:02. I'm Rose Doherty. I am Chair of the Needham Historical Commission. And what I'm going to do is confirm that all of the members are present and can hear me. Gloria, say yes. Thank you. Laura.
I'm here.
Okay, Don
Here.
and Jeff.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. There are no anticipated speakers on this agenda. So this is an open meeting of the Needham Historical Commission. It's being conducted remotely, thanks to Governor Baker's executive order of March 20th, 2020. We are all painfully aware of that. The governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are
Actually,
allowed. And
now according to legislation, not according to the executive order.
oh, but he extended it to July 15th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Okay.
Yes,
Um,
Rose, that's correct. He did extend it.
Okay, good. So we can meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with our deliberations. So ensuring public access, however, does not ensure public participation, and this meeting will not feature public comment. And for this meeting, March 21st, 2022, 2 years on, the Needham Historical Commission is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website. Now, just a few rules about Zoom etiquette. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that there are people attending remotely. All of us, actually. Accordingly, please be aware of the fact that people can see you. Don't screen share your computer. And the recording of this meeting is a public document, and anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Materials have been sent out to the members of the, hey, Dylan, have been sent out to members of this body, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So some ground rules. We're going to turn in just a moment to the first item on the agenda, but before we do, we will cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I'm going to introduce each item on the agenda, and then I will go down the line of members, inviting each one to provide comment, questions, motions, quibbles. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone when you're not speaking and speak clearly in a way that generates accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and then state your name before speaking. And finally, each vote in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote, including adjournment. I forgot the last time we had to do that. Okay, so now we are going to go to the agenda itself. What I did on, we have to remember Rick Hardy's great contributions to this group. And Gloria wrote a wonderful piece that I put onto the website at Eaton's so that everyone will be able to read it. It is truly wonderful. He was our president from 2010 to 2019, and he is someone who always talked about Needham having a special.
So the handle comes out, see the button?
What was that? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyhow, he did use the phrase sense of space, of place, to characterize why Needham is so important. He created the commission's presentation on Lost Needham and was just always there for all of us. Are there things that others would like to add? I just stole all of Gloria's words, which were really quite wonderful. You're muted, Gloria. No, you're not, but I can't hear you. You're going out and coming back again? Okay, all right. Not bad for figuring out what's going on. Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to say anything while we are waiting for Gloria to get back on? Yes, Jeff.
I'll just comment that I like the piece, and I'm glad that his film Lost Needham got mentioned. That'll be a strong memory.
Yes, a really strong memory. Oh, hello, Gloria.
Hi, can you hear me
Speak to
now?
us. Yes.
Oh, good, okay. I was just gonna say that had I known you were gonna put this in the minutes, I would have elaborated. It was kept to a few, kept short for the online version, but just how many of us have gotten emails from Rick over our time that said, it's not just us? Something, it's not just us. I love those. It's not just us.
Yeah.
We are not alone.
We are not
in trying to
alone.
Reserve a sense
Towns
of
trying to
place.
do the same thing or having the same struggles.
He was always, I mean, right, and his Lost Needham, he was always good for, remembering all of the losses, not just even in Needham, right? He always brought those attentions to us. It was not just, I think not just, he was such a proponent of preservation that it wasn't just Needham, or it wasn't just lamenting, that someone else has it, but he was mourning the loss of one other piece.
Yes. I think that we will probably on many occasions refer to what Rick said, because it was so to the point all the time. And the length of your piece was just perfect, Gloria, for the Eaton's presentation. So thank you very much for that. Okay, let us move on then to the minutes.
Part
Yes,
of the discussion around remembering Rick is not just today's meeting, right? Now, shouldn't we think about a sort of a townwide? That was sort of in some ways what I was getting at, that we wouldn't just not come up with the decision, but today, but that we would continue the discussion around how we can do a longer remembrance, a memorial of naming something or something like that. And I wanted to introduce that on the agenda as a beginning of the discussion, and that we all sort of brainstorm and think about those sort of things. He must have been a member of his society, the historical center, Gloria, right? Did he have some time on the board? Some of the things that we just articulated today are remembrances, as Gloria kept it brief for that something. Maybe there's something more to be put out into for him to get a general recognition from the town, for his contributions.
would it be appropriate for town meeting to recognize his contributions at our next town meeting?
Yeah,
I don't know. He wasn't a town meeting member. Was he ever a town meeting member?
Not that I know of.
So, but,
I mean,
but
actually-
town meeting closes, in honor of people that weren't necessarily town meeting members.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. To do I mean, imagine what we could do. We could do the selectmen and the selectmen do that. They close out
Yeah,
at the end of the meeting and I'm sure they'll probably do that, but maybe, one, we give them that language, they don't know them like we did. Maybe we initiate it with
oh,
them,
yeah.
right?
yeah, we would
So-
initiate that
Yep,
and write it
Maybe-
for them.
Since you're meeting with them tomorrow,
tomorrow.
maybe, mention or what the process is,
Okay.
So I will just,
And
this
and
has
also,
been,
I mean, what did we do for Gloria, for Barbara? No, longstanding chair of the historical commission,
Carol?
Carol. Yes, I
Okay,
mean, we thought of doing some memorial, something of a plaque or something like that, but that was long.
Carol's-
after she passed, I think.
Carol's
little
not
bit.
dead.
Is she?
Carol
oh,
is still with us, albeit in
Okay.
New York State.
okay.
so I'll just say
My-
that I know Rick's
Yes.
name was brought up for the town meeting, so I don't know where the status is of that, but I will ask Kate tomorrow because I think they had one name, but this was in discussion, but I will find out for you.
Thank you very much. And I know that the library would also be very interested.
Right, that's what I think, why some recognition of something just of more than maybe a mere mention at one town meeting,
Well, I think that's something that we can think about and we can come back next month and see whether or not anyone's come up with some concrete thing that we can do. And I am not trying to, believe me, I am not trying to just move on from my dear friend Rick at all. But
that's all I wanted to do, is introduce the discussion and not have it today.
excellent.
Give
And-
room for anything.
Okay, and thank you, Kristen, for your input there. And if anyone wants to give money in Rick's honor to the places that the family mentioned, please let me know and I will take care of it. You pay me. I know where you all live, so you will pay me. Don't worry. Okay, we are now going to Rick would approve of this. We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the acceptance of the February meeting minutes. And I wonder whether there are some questions that you have, some comments. It was a full meeting. True. Because we did get to talk with Mr. Kite, we got to talk with Mr. Smart and Mr. Siebert and Ms. Erdos and Mo Handel. So it was indeed an extremely important meeting. Are there any comments, criticisms, critiques, quibbles? No?
I move that we
not-
accept the minutes.
Yes, okay, Don has moved. May I have a second, please? Okay, thank you, Laura. All right, Laura, we'll start with you. Aye or nay, but you have to unmute yourself. I'll move right along.
Aye.
with Don. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, Don,
Aye.
okay, Jeff,
Aye.
Dylan,
Aye.
okay, and Gloria.
Aye.
All right, and I vote aye also. So the minutes are unanimously accepted. Excellent.
Just a quick question. I was
Sure.
taking notes and I missed who proposed the motion and who seconded.
Don proposed it and Laura seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. And on Wednesday evening, CPC met, and among the very many topics they discussed was the Emory Grover building. And Laura, would you be willing to say a few words on that particular meeting? On, but
Yes.
not,
So at the public hearing, the Emory Grover project was presented by the architect, I believe, a member of the design firm. And so they've changed the scope of the project so that it's not, the footprint won't change. They're not going to do an addition off the back. They're not going to add parking spaces. They're going to work within the existing building. They're going to, and Gloria, jump in whenever, because I know you and Rose, you were both there. They're going to make spaces that weren't usable again by, adding joists or whatever they need to do to make the spaces supported properly. They're going to make the building energy efficient. They're going to change out windows. They're going to open up some windows that weren't open. They're going to put the parking spaces in the front of the building. They're just going to redesign the front. I think the entrance is going from the middle to the side. Is that right, Gloria? And so we won't have that like round, sort of entrance. The parking will be better organized, and the request to CPC remains the same. But the project is limited. I don't know if that's enough or.
Jeff, go ahead.
How much is the budget reduced from the, what was it, 2.1 or 2.0? Now it's,
No, the whole project is like $20 million.
right, it was it went from 26 to 20,
Correct.
right? Now what is it now at?
It's still there, but
Oh,
CPC and CPC's, the request to CPC hasn't changed, 6.3 million to CPC. And there was not a lot of comment on that project at the public hearing, or even in some of like the questions that online. Just the ones that were in favor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That
I think
was
we've been talking about this for so long
Mm-hmm.
that, I think people feel how they feel about it. That part's not going to change, but now it's just a change in the scope.
It got hotly contested at town meeting in the spring, and it was overwhelmingly well supported. So I think that's,
Yeah.
as it should be, those people who advocated strongly and then realized that they're no longer part of the majority should, not muck up the process now, right?
Gloria, do you want to add, or Rose, you guys want to add anything? Because you're at that meeting.
I was just so pleased that everyone who spoke was positive about the $6 million piece.
Mhm.
It was just wonderful. Very, very positive. So.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the next big decision is, how much the CPC can afford to or is willing to put into this project.
Yeah, because
But
there's
it will,
two.
it will go to design in the meantime.
Yeah.
This discussion obviously is over building costs, not design costs. So that
Right.
that warrant from last year's town meeting still stands. That's not an issue.
Okay.
And the CPC does have in front of it some very large requests from the Housing Authority. So when you look at those numbers out into the future, we'll do what we can do. Obviously, it's very tough to rank these things. It's just really hard. So hopefully we can do it all.
That's good. I like that idea.
Yeah. don't quote me, I'm not.
No.
Still in the works.
As Jeff mentioned earlier, Gloria and I will meet tomorrow night with Matt Borelli and Marianne Cooley and Kate to talk about local historic districts and to talk about our interest in starting with one particular house. And what needs to be done, as Matt told us, is that it needs to be on the agenda. It needs to be in the goals for next year. So that's what we will be doing tomorrow night, is talking about that. And Jen Doherty, no relation, but she does spell it the right way. She is our new liaison to the Mass Historical Commission. She could not come tonight, but she really does want to meet with us and talk with us about the best ways to build the public and the best ways to put things together. So we really have someone who's very much on our side, which is good. Yes, Laura.
So I have two questions. One is, well, one's a comment. The working housing group
Mhm.
that's been put into place has, and by the way, I have stepped off that committee for no other reason than the time commitment. I tend to take on more than I can handle as part of my nature, and it's just not fair for me to stay on the committee. But they did ask, I offered to do anything I could to help as a non-member, and they will be wanting to hear about the local historic district initiative that we're trying to do at some point. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you will let us know when it's appropriate.
Yes,
to
yes,
talk
of
with
course,
them.
of course. And then the question I had was, if you go for a local historic district of one home, does that preclude you from adding another home? Like, would you have to go back again to expand it, is my question.
Okay,
So
go ahead, Gloria.
I think every change is a town meeting decision.
So why would we go for one? I don't understand. Why wouldn't we go for a possibility of expansion so that we don't have to go back to town meeting?
Well,
Or do
there's no possibility of expanding around that particular house. There are no adjacent historic houses next to Mo's house. But I think the feeling and what we discussed last time was that it's probably more efficient to break the ice on this one, since there is a willing owner, and then go forward with additional
Okay.
proposals.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jeff says-
okay, Jeff, yes. Go ahead.
I have two comments, but immediately to respond to, I think the town meeting process is the first thing that we do is we have to get a bylaw.
Mhm.
And town meeting has to approve the bylaw. And then then town meeting has the means by which to approve a local historic district. So after we have now a bylaw, and then we do that one house, the bylaw is, we don't have to go back to town meeting to redo the bylaw. It's already there. Now we go and we could go do another district, because town meeting has now been empowered by the bylaws to approve of local historic districts. All right, that was my one comment and clarification for that. And but I also wanted to respond to about the working housing group. And I think we have to be careful, Laura, about some of the people there as not being necessarily friendly for preservation. Yes, they're really all about diversity and increasing density. All right, so relaxing development rules and the like that, and those kind of controls. And some of those people are pretty extreme, so.
I would just say, Jeff, from what I'm
you.
not sure that's fair. And I think if they are asking us to learn about the local historic district, then that's a good sign that they're truly interested in that. We should just go forward and give them any information they want on that.
I'm not suggesting that we don't do that or participate in that, but I just want to clarify, maybe understand who some of the players, might be, and they might not be friendly to such a thing. They might look at it as exclusive and not inclusive.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the members are all listed online. I think it's a good representation of, there's at-large members, there's a member from every committee or commission in town. It's really a varied group. It's not just one group of people who chose to do this together. That's all I can really say. I've only been on it for 4 months.
But, okay, Gloria, go ahead.
I'd say the other thing is, they don't have any deciding authority over what we do, and we don't have any deciding authority over what they do. This is really an opportunity to try and find areas in which we can work together, areas in which we agree, and areas in which, their work and our work might result in other preservation standards. For example, a lot of us are interested in smaller houses, which would be more affordable if they weren't potential tear downs, being preserved. So there are areas where we overlap. But, frankly, even if each and every one of them hate us, it doesn't really affect what we do. It's nice to have that. It's nice to have that partnership, and it's nice to find ways we can work together, but they're not determining our work and we're not determining theirs. We're just trying to find ways in which we can help each other out.
Mhm.
They are trying to influence the planning board. It's a, initiation, from that part of the planning process, and where, how we feel about the planning board currently. Okay.
I
I
want to
think
point out that
that,
we are in a public meeting.
right. I think that we need to find ways for people with different interests to work together in town to make this a place that people want to live, that we develop this sense of place. And that will sometimes mean that we talk with folks who may not agree with some of the stuff we do, but we will do our jobs, they will do their job. And we'll just try to make it better. Anyhow, Gloria and I will certainly let you know about the results of tomorrow night's discussion. The next big thing that's coming up is the April 4th public meeting. And the letters to the abutters they're all set to go out. I know that Mr. Kite has picked his up. I don't know whether Mr. Smart has picked his up. And he did ask for an extra set of labels because I imagine he wants to send another mailing to the abutters so that he does get people to come to the meeting and support his position. Anyhow, one thing, Dylan, that you should be aware of is that we need to have a record of the public that come. So we want to collect their names, and I would say addresses and emails as a bare minimum. The last public meeting we had, we did name, address, email, and phone number. It's extremely helpful to have that kind of information. And one of the questions that I have for all of you is whether we should invite the people who came to the public meeting about the Mills House and those people who sent in emails and letters about the preservation of the Mills House? Should we invite them to April 4th and just begin to build a public that thinks about preserving historic homes? Comments, questions?
I have a question just in terms of
Yes.
process, I guess, is like, are you talking about a sign up sheet or something when people are showing up and getting their information, just making sure that
Right.
they fill it out? Or
Right. I have the format that I used the last time, and I'll be happy to send that to you. The one thing that can become a problem is that when people put down their names or their addresses, they're not always good with their writing. So, sometimes it's very hard to read, and it depends very much on the number of people who were there. The last time it was small enough, so when people put down their email and I couldn't read it, I could just say, would you mind telling me what that is? And I could write it down. So,
I'll,
to be writing heard.
I think the best way to do this is to have the sign up sheet and have people fill it out, and then during the meeting, I'll read through it, and if there's anything I can't transcribe, I'll just call out whatever person to clarify or something, but just before they leave or before the meeting adjourns or something.
Excellent, excellent. That does it. What do you think about inviting the Mills, the people who came to the Mills House public hearing?
Sure. Do you know how many people are on that list?
I think when you add in the people who sent in things, it's about 12.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, Don, go ahead.
Yeah. And I had gone through that list several weeks ago, and I think one of them does own a house that's on the inventory.
Oh, good.
Okay. And even if they don't come, they will get a reminder that the Needham Historical Commission is very much interested in doing what they care about. So again, yes, Laura.
Do we have their email addresses, Rose? Because that's
Yes,
easy
we
enough,
do.
right?
Yes, we
To just-
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the ads will appear this week. And the ads now have the Zoom link in them,
Oh,
which
good.
is a way to madness. Because are you going to look at a newspaper ad and copy down a Zoom address? So fortunately, what I would like to do is, Kristen,
Yes, I'm here.
would you put up the draft agenda for April 4th? And we will see what you think of this. I stole it all from what Don did the last time.
This is an in-person meeting, right, Rose?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Although Mr. Kite will be at a distance. He will
Yeah.
be doing his.
Right. But for us, it's in
presentation.
person. We are to
Yes.
go in person.
Yes.
Okay.
We're in the usual room, the Great Plain room?
No, it's going to be in Powers Hall.
No, okay.
Okay. And it will be set up with the microphones on the table. And there we are. Okay, so in person, Powers Hall, there is the Zoom, and the Zoom will also be, if we agree on this tonight, the Zoom will also be on the town website, so people can just go there and click on it.
Sort of like the public hearing for CPC was, Rose,
Yes.
in that sense?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, and then, so I will begin with the description of the process that the Historical Commission follows. And I will then have Mr. Kite do his presentation about the house at 28 Wyoming Avenue. We'll take comments from the residents, from people who were there. And then we'll do a discussion among ourselves. It'll be public, obviously, and then we will take a vote.
Rose, did you receive the presentation yet for 28 Wyoming? Has he sent you his PowerPoint?
No,
No, okay.
no, he was supposed to send it to you and he hasn't.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so we need to get that. Because the technology will always let us down, and although he may be okay at a distance, we could end up with a blank screen. So that's for tomorrow, Kristen, right?
Okay. Yes.
Did he
Yep.
show up today? Oh, you don't know whether or not he showed up.
No, I do know. He did show up. I got a message that he was there.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll get his PowerPoint. And then the way that I set this up again, stealing from Don, is exactly the same thing for the Kingsbury house. I did put down exactly the way people want to be recognized. The property is now held by Davenport Holdings. The three speakers will be Mr. Smart, Ms. Erdos, and then the architect who's in. Thank you very much, Mr. Seibert. Okay, comments from the public and then discussion among ourselves and a vote. Can you think of things that we ought to do that's not on here, that are not on?
Rose,
Yes.
I just want to say that people might say, well, what's Davenport Holding Companies? I think it's actually an LLC that is combined, was created to purchase the property. And I
Right.
believe it's made up of several members, perhaps, if I recall, from the temple. I don't know if the public will say, well, what is that? So, I just,
Well, in fact, Jillian Erdos is the project manager for Davenport.
okay.
Would it help to put LLC at the end?
Well,
of-
let me verify it. I thought it was an LLC. I didn't think it was like a company. I thought it was an LLC made up of the people at the temple who were purchasing the property. So it wasn't on the temple, maybe for
That's-
tax purposes. I'm not sure, but I can check.
That's a good question.
They
me
just
just
want it
double
for
check.
parking, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Laura,
yeah,
if that's the case, probably want to ask Jillian to explain that when she introduces herself or when we introduce the project.
Right.
That way
just
she's
gonna
got,
look it up now. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. If I were someone that was listening to this, I might not know the relationship between that company and the temple is all I'm trying to point out,
Yep.
right?
That's good.
but yeah, they should probably state that at their as their introduction.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's clear before they
Exactly.
start. Yeah. So
So
people
I'm gonna
will.
look
Very,
right now.
very clear.
I'm actually
And,
finding right now.
Vadim Kite has an LLC, and I asked him whether or not he wanted it listed. And he said no, that he wanted to have
Of
just. his
course
name.
not, because that makes it sound like a commercial project where someone's gonna tear down a house and build another one to sell. That's why he doesn't want that.
I know. I know. But that's okay. That's
That's
his
okay.
choice, I think. I think it's his choice. Any other comments? Yes, Don.
Rose, would it be possible to move that Davenport Holding Properties under Jillian's name so that just the three people are named rather than that holding company at the beginning? You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
So it doesn't make it that obvious.
yeah. Okay, that makes it, well, I need your input, but that makes it a lot cleaner. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah. Yes, that does that make it clearer? Any other comments, additions? No?
Hold on, I have the, I think I might be wrong. Okay. This is funny. Davenport Holding. Where did I see Davenport Holding Properties? Did I see that somewhere? Am I imagining it? Davenport Holding Properties, 284 Webster Street. Is that the address of the property we're talking about?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that is a corporation, and I believe the people involved, Eugene Stein, Alan Huberman, Wendy Gutterson, are affiliated with the temple. I remember looking up the board of directors, and I believe they were temple people.
Mhm.
So our own Paul Alpert is their, well, I don't know if it's the same Paul Alpert, but in any event, I think we should just make sure that we explain the relationship. I don't think it should be, I think it should be transparent is what I'm saying. I don't
Right.
think it should be.
It's definitely the same Paul Albert.
It is, okay. Which is fine, that's fine. He's just a
Oh.
registered agent for the LLC, for the corporation.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's all
what
I
I
had to
will
say.
do is talk with the 284 Webster Street people. I'll start with Mr. Smart, and we'll see. We will make sure that Davenport Holding Properties is explained right at the top. At which point he'll probably say we were intending to do that, which is okay.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
mean, maybe we could
absolutely
let
fine.
them. Maybe they start their presentation and then we sort of hope that they go there and explain it. And if they don't, we can,
Mhm.
you
We
know,
can ask.
give them the benefit of the doubt, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we'll have comments from the public, and then we'll vote. Okay, any other comments that you have about this? Okay, Kristen, I know you want to get stuff done, but let me talk with Bob Smart before we actually put this up on the town website, okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I was trying to just have less for Miles to do before I'm out, but we
I
have the week.
A whole week.
Well,
Okay.
and a little bit of next week. And that's it.
Okay, so Miles will be taking care of things.
Yes,
on
Miles
April
will be there for the meeting for you on the 4th and run the Zoom and the owl and whatever you need. He'll be there for you.
Yes. And we wish you well in your
Thank
new
you.
adventure.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
Of course.
Anyhow, we'll get this up on the town website tomorrow, because I know that Mr. Smart will get back to me right away. Absolutely. Okay, so we can move on, I think, from unless there are other things that you think we need to talk about. No? Okay. Now, one of the things that the next item on the agenda was a discussion that does deal with a lot of the housing issues. The issue was brought up by Jeff, and and Gloria mentioned it this evening. There are a lot of small houses in town that could be starter houses, but they tend to be torn down, and then the sense of place is but a bit damaged. So the 40B talks about the houses that are on the inventory on Macris, but also says that other buildings not listed may be significant as well. Go ahead, Jeff.
So I had a specific property in mind that I wanted to see if this, would it be an opportunity that we could sort of weigh in on and make them have to come through another process, because, the language does say if, that then they, must go, right, where is it? But anyway, it's the Hillcrest, the 888
Great Plain.
Great Plain Avenue. It's the old Hillcrest property, with that beautiful house up there with a beautiful lot with a greenhouse in the back, and so on. And the developer is planning on knocking it down and building a brick building with storefront, and then residences, and have it look like a very commercial square building. He's got all sorts of zoning and setback issues that he's looking to get relief from, and he's taking no consideration at all of how that lot was used in the past, and just making an extension of the storefront going along Great Plain. So I know there's some active resistance to this project, and it's going before the planning board on a couple of times. I don't know the details, but we had to approve this language that the selectmen gave us as they were updating the 40B language, and there it is. It broadens it up. That says other properties that are not on the macros, but they might be historically significant, and they should consult with the Historic Commission. So
I have a question, Jeff, and that is, this is the language from 40B, but where do we get the power to, I mean, we can certainly as citizens have something to say, but how do we as an historical commission?
I think the selectmen or the planning board would have to say, you got to go before the Historical Commission. Remember, I had a problem with it because when we updated this language, because I felt like they were sending us to people to us, which we were not empowered to do anything but to go, yeah, we don't like it, but we don't hear anything about it. So you don't have our blessing, but we can't slow you down or stop you in any way. But just by them having to come to us, because this language says that we should consider it, slows them down, and maybe we ask them to take into consideration something.
Oh,
That's all.
okay. Gloria, go ahead.
Our significant under our jurisdiction means on the inventory, and what this last phrase, but the other buildings not listed may be significant as well, acknowledges that Macris and the Needham inventory are not congruent. There's a lot of, there are things on Macris like I still puzzle over that Central Avenue overpass near Pinellas, why that's considered a state historic property. By the same token, there are a lot of properties on our inventory, as we know from trying to find them on Macris, that are not there. We can't simply declare anything that we don't want torn down to be significant. If that house is not on our inventory, they're under no obligation to talk to us. And the town can't tell them to talk to us, sadly. I mean, as much as I would like to have that level of control, I don't think we can claim it, and I don't think the town would
Gloria, I mean,
would offer
he's
it.
asking to change its zoning use, because I think it's currently zoned for residential, right?
Yeah, I think there are all sorts of
and-
reasons to oppose the zoning change, but I don't think making him talk to us because we think the building is significant, even though it's not on an inventory, and has not been designated as historically
The lot-
significant in the
I
past
might say
is
that
a
the lot
valid,
is
is a valid argument.
It's the lots of historical significance because it had, you know. I know we're not empowered to do anything other
Yeah,
than, again,
unfortunately.
is this just one more piece of a bureaucracy that that he can complain about, but that he has to go through? And if the planning board says, or says something like, it says here that, you should consider the, what the historical commission has to say, it delays them for a month or two.
But how are these other buildings identified if they're not on Macris? I mean, that's the
They're on
problem.
they're on our inventory. They're voted
If they're
to
on-
the
Okay. if
Needham
they're on-
Historic Inventory.
If they're
But I
on,
was just saying, the selectmen empowered us to review something, even though we can't do anything about it. But the selectmen put that in there.
Where does
For
it say
something
this?
that's not, for us to be reviewed for something that's not on Macris or not on our inventory, but said it still might be historical, so you should go talk to the historical commission. That's
That
what they
doesn't say-
wrote.
Where do they write that? All this says is the language we put in to make sure that by saying it has to be on Macris, it does not preclude properties on the inventory that are not also on Macris. Because if we left it the way it was, which is, on the state register, then that would mean that all the properties we have that are also not listed in Macris that we consider significant, that we have listed to our inventory, would therefore not be considered. This does not give us additional authority over properties that are not on the historic inventory.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about this? I tend to agree with Gloria, although it's not on the side of the angels. I understand that, Jeff. But this is.
I would love Jeff to be right about this.
I would too.
I would love to
Well, I
agree.
think that we, as maybe not in an official capacity, but we should pay attention to this, because this, especially when there's a public hearing on this, because again, he's asking for significant changes for to the use and size of the project, just for something that's ugly.
No, I think there are
utilitarian.
things we can say about the history of the property that people will, be happy to hear. Certainly, there's a lot of also neighborhood opposition to his plans. His design is not, shall we say, an enhancement to the streetscape. And he's asking for a lot of consideration that, they don't have to grant. And I'm not sure at this point, it has been justified. So yeah, there are things we could do to assist with the neighborhood who wants to preserve it. But unfortunately, one of them is not making them get our approval.
Do you have some history on the house? And because even though it's not on the inventory and described anywhere?
I don't. I can look into it a little bit.
I mean, you made a good point. I thought, like you said, if we made it public, some of the history of the house itself, and I mean, Joe was a loved guy, and even Gloria, if I can help you in some way, even to tell, look into the story around the zoning change, because I heard from my realtor, so that something like squirrely went around to allow him to get a waiver or a variance to allow the nursery to happen. And I think that happened without a sort of a good favor because everyone liked the idea and liked Joe.
It also happened,
Long time
35 or
ago.
more years ago. So, I mean, we moved here 31 years ago when we bought a tree from him that summer, and the business wasn't new then. So, what the understandings were 35 plus years ago and, what they are now, are two different things. But yeah, I mean, I think there are plenty of arguments to be made, and just, as past experience with this particular developer, historic significance does not factor high on his list of considerations.
Oh.
But there are ways to engage with this.
And we should. And we should take part in public meetings about the zoning, and because it does affect our downtown. Yes, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, is it possible to add houses one-offs to the inventory? So if this had some historical significance, it could be added to the inventory, and it gets to be in our
We have never, not since actually, I don't think even with the first go round, we've never done this unilaterally. It's always been with the approval of the owner, and I guarantee you will not get the approval of the owner right now.
Okay, but it is possible in other cases if there's a home that somehow we find out it does have some historical significance. We can add it to that.
We've tended to do them in a clump because then we can get the research done.
Right.
But there's no reason to not do. It's just a question of, the process has been to sort of do the research, discuss it with the owner, get their approval, and then just we vote. Aye or nay, do we want this on the inventory? So, and then we file the form, the B form with the state, which they then do or do not add to Macris. But yeah, it doesn't have to be in bunches. It can be in singles.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Question,
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Gloria, is there any town community that has been empowered to do it against the owner's wish?
That'd be a question for, what's her name, Jennifer? Who's
Jennifer Doherty.
Jennifer Doherty.
Yeah.
Technically, we don't have to ask. But since we really strive to create a culture of appreciation for historic preservation, we're not going to walk in and put a restriction on somebody's house against their will.
Right.
But is there a bylaw that?
The bylaw just says we can do it. The bylaw just says we can do it. Just as we can designate, it just says we can designate. It's very there's not a lot of detail there. And this has come up in cases where, say, not the original owner who gave permission, but an owner down the line, or in one case, the children of an owner who did give permission, have contested their inclusion. And town council has advised us that no, once the house has been duly incorporated in the historic inventory, it's there until we take it off.
Now, is that because it was also with an agreement with an owner, or would that hold steadfast even if some commission did it against the owner's will? I mean, that's almost like eminent domain. It's
we probably could force a property onto the inventory, but it would be a fight. We would have to, technically, I think the bylaw just says we designate. So, we can go up and say, okay, Rose, we're designating your house as a property of the historic inventory, and, so sue us. On the other hand, if she does, it would be very hard to justify why we chose that designation, why we chose that house for designation. And also, it just sets up the process to be adversarial and not inclusive and not
what we
a
want.
public good. It becomes a public threat.
Right.
You know, Don, you tick us off and we're putting your house on the inventory so fast, there, it's just not, it's not a good process. That's why we seek permission, even though technically the bylaw does not say we need to get it.
But we should, just
Yeah.
in order to be good citizens. I
Yeah,
think-
but now, why don't we just designate 888 Great Plain Ave historic? We know, we're no friends of him and he's no friends of ours, and, if we're empowered as such,
And when he contests it, what do we say?
we're
Because he
we're
will.
empowered as such, and we think it's a historic for a number of reasons.
But Jeff, all that's gonna do is delay it 6 months.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, is it really worth to antagonize, somebody for 6 months? We
Right.
don't have
Well-
any other,
Right.
we don't
You
have a
know, I
lot
mean,
of
actually,
ways
you're
to,
right, because if it got to that point, he would have to have already pulled the permit, right? And for him to pull the demo permit, he would probably, well, actually, you know what? I was gonna say, he already had approval for zoning and all of that, or gotten his plans approved, and now he's going for demolition. But I don't know, can he demolish it without having any plans for replacement?
He has a plan in place.
Right,
yeah,
but what,
I don't think he
what if
needs a plan.
but he-
Uh,
it's not gonna
And
be
his
appro-
business has the wherewithal to withstand our 6 months.
And you know what?
Mhm.
Materials are gonna be delayed 6 months anyway. If we really want to make an impact, we need to change the demo delay bylaw. We need to make
Yeah.
it longer. We need to make it based on other things besides only listed on a registry, and this town doesn't want to do it. I'm guessing. I mean, every time I bring it up, it's like,
the town
oh,
will
don't
increase
talk
it
about
for a year. The town will do that. Town meeting
mean,
will.
that could
Maybe.
deter somebody, but right now, 6 months, I was walking around Jarvis Circle where I live and Nardone Road. So Jarvis is a circle and Nardone cuts right through. There are 6 tear downs. I'm not kidding, within a quarter of a mile, quarter of a mile. They're all small houses that someone maybe could afford, and they're gone. And these homes are going for 2.6 million on Jarvis Circle. And these guys are gonna wait 6 months. The excavators I walk by say, everybody knows this is the easiest town to do tear downs in. There's nothing. 6 months is nothing. If you even have to wait the 6 months. So I don't know. I think it's a I think what you're saying is important, but it's a bigger picture question, and it's something that does need to go to town meeting, because I believe it involves changing the bylaws for demolition. And I don't know I don't feel that there's a huge sense of wanting to do that here, but we can, we could try if we wanted to. I don't know if people feel the same way I do or not. But as long as things stay the way they are, we're stuck.
I was on the large house study committee. And we came up with, the amendments to the setbacks and all of that. And we were very conservative because we wanted to make sure that it passed town meeting. And when it passed town meeting, so overwhelmingly easy and positive, and we realized we didn't go far enough. And I think that was the feeling of many of the people at town meeting. Which does not mean that discussion can't be initiated with the planning board and ask them to chair another study committee to adjust the zoning laws to be more in line with what the constituents want.
Okay, it seems to me that we have laid out the issue pretty clearly, and laid out what we can do and what we cannot do. And I will ask Jen whether or not there is any town that just goes ahead and adds without owner's permission. Shall we revisit this after some thought, after taking a look at other things, but consider it not done, because it's certainly not done, but discussed for now, and we know what the issues are? Yes? Yes. Okay, I am getting a sense of the group
Yes.
with nods. Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any new business to discuss? No? In that case, I thank you for a productive meeting. We got stuff moved along. Yes, Don. Go
I
ahead.
move to adjourn.
I
Ah,
second.
okay, so that was Don and Jeff, and now I'll do the roll call. Laura,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Dylan,
I,
Gloria,
Aye.
and I just want to stay, no, I don't. I also. Okay, so it is unanimous. Thank you. We'll let you know what happens with our conversation. And we're going to keep moving on.
Rose, I just want to say I'm so sorry for you and Gloria and Jeff and Don, whoever, I know some of you knew Rick for a really long time, so I'm so sorry. I mean, I didn't know him that long, but I'm really very sorry for your loss.
It's a biggie,
It is. Thank
know.
you, Laura.
truly
I
a
know.
biggie.
I know.
Um,
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A truly magnificent man, and a great friend. And I will never get used to this particular part of life. Thank you very much. I refuse to get used to it. Anyhow, have a good evening, folks, and go have dinner, go have a cup of tea, as I'm going to, or enjoy, okay?
Thank you.
See you in 2
Thanks,
weeks.
Rose.
right?
Good night.
See you
Thanks,
in 2
Kristen.
weeks, April 4th. And
You're
I will
welcome.
send.
Be
that
well,
out.
Kristen. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Kristen.
Yes,
Thank you, thank you.
Bye.
thank you, Kristen. Bye-bye. Okay.